All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. And in our last lecture, we did a few things here. All right, I'm not going to bring that up. But what we did was we came in and we began to create version 2 of our program. Okay, and I think I've changed all the colors. When I looked at it there, it looked a little funky, but that looks okay. So does that, and that. Yep, I guess they're all right. So what we did in the last video was we went into our library file in our validation library, and in our validation both, we came in and we added a validate decimal input, a validate integer input, and you'll notice that when we're validating, we're now checking for no input, checking for non-decimal input, and checking for a range check. And then we do the same thing with the integer and check for no input. This should be non-integer. And we've got our range check. Plus we did a generic show error. And we did our reset and focus. So the idea now is to come in here and start to make the changes to the corresponding files here. So let me do a file save all, and let me close this. And I'm going to close what I don't need right now. I'm going to do the hourly first. I guess I am going to do them in the kind of regular order, so to speak. All right, so we're going to come in here and we're going to view our code. Now, to start with, that's fine. We have in here we have our constants, and that's fine. This should all be fine in the commission click, etc., all that stuff. So what we're most concerned with here is to come in there in our calculate button to go in and make the change that we have to make into the calculate button. All right, so I'm going to come in and do that right now. So let's just do it like this. Let's go down to the calculate, where we've got validate all values here. All right, I'm just going to remove this whole thing where we've got the validate all value. In fact, let's do this. Let's take it where we've got all these input hours worked, input hourly rate, etc. All those. Let's comment it out. All right. So now we get an error here, and that's okay because we're going to comment this out too. All right. And now we're going to come in and try to rewrite this. And we want to know whether or not these are okay. All right. So we're going to come in here and we'll just call them, I don't know, let's call them OK1 and OK2. How about, no, I don't even like that. We'll call this OK hours. And we're going to set that equal to false. And we'll do another bool on OK rate. And we'll set that equal to, in fact, let's set them both equal to true. And let's make the H capitalized here. And let's make the R capitalized here. Okay. We could use one variable for both. When I originally did this, that's what I did. But all right, so I'm going to say OK hours equal, and now I'm going to call our validation both dot, and now we want to put in our new one. All right, and our new one, again, I should have kept that open, and I didn't. Is called validate decimal input. All right. Now don't worry, because it's looking for some parameters to be passed. So let's start passing them. All right. The first thing we'll pass is txt hours worked. All right, because that's the field. Then we'll put here hours worked. So that's the text box, and that'll be the field name. And then we also have min hours. We have max hours. And we also have our decimal value. So let's just call this out decimal hours. Okay. So far, so good, and that worked. All right. Now, if not okay, in other words, if it was false, that means we had some kind of an error. All right. So we'll just return. All right. So let's see. We're going to here. We will call validate decimal input to validate that 1 text box not empty. 2, whoops, text box contains a decimal value. And 3, the text box value is within range. And remember, since it's hours, that's 0 through 84. All right. So again, here, if any check fails, return false, or just return. We don't want to go on. All right. Now we can go back here, and I'm going to just copy all this. Don't worry, because I want to make changes right away. So there's the first one. So now we want to come in here and we want to say, now we want to validate that. So this is the hours worked. Here, here, and here. And this will be that the hourly rate text box is not empty, that the hourly rate text box contains a decimal value, and the hourly rate text box is within range. And that was 0 through 99.99. All right, and we'll put this one into rate. Okay. All right. So we have now done both of those checks, and if any check fails, we returned. So if we get down to here, that means both hours worked text box and hourly rate text box contain valid values. All right. So now what we should be able to do is calculate our gross pay. So calculate the gross pay. Okay, so kind of like what we did before, we're just going to say, do we have a gross up here? I don't think we do. And down here, this should be okay at rate now. That was hours. So let's change all these. That'll be okay rate. And that'll be hourly rate. And that'll be min H rate. And that'll be max H rate. Okay. So now we're going to come in here and we're going to just say what the gross is. Okay. Looking at my notes here, so just give me a second. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Well, we'll find out right now. Okay, so we can come up here and we're just going to say decimal gross equals 0M. So it's got a value in it, and that'll be the value that we're going to use down here. So gross equals well, let's use what's called the question mark colon operator here. So I'm going to say hours less than or equal to, what do we call that, max non-OT. All right, so we'll say question mark, and it will come down here, whoops, and I'm going to say colon here. Don't worry, we're going to get errors, but we're going to fix these right away. So we'll do it up here. So here, question mark means it's true that we worked less than or equal to 40 hours. So if that's the case, we don't have to say gross equals. We're already setting equals, so it'll just be hours times rate. All right, so that's what we want to do if there is no overtime. Otherwise, they have overtime. So we're going to say max non-OT times rate plus, let's just keep going so you can see everything that we're doing here. Hours minus max non-OT times rate times, well, we want the overtime. What do we call it? Over rate. Okay, and I think that'll be correct. Now, one thing that we can do up here that I don't think I did do, if you look here, when we're calling these hide and shows, we're not taking advantage of what we actually put in here. So we've got this validation, both .hide show. I guess we are calling it from validation, both. All right, let's see if this works. So I'm going to do a file save all, and I'm going to run it. Now remember, all we've done here is hourly. Oh, we get an error. Let's save and run it again. Oh, no, what is the error? Hopefully it's something minor. It says validation both does not contain a definition for validate decimal input. Okay, then let's check that. Validate decimal input, public static. It's right here. Huh. Still doesn't like it. It's saying right here that this validate decimal input, it does not like it. Let's try this just to see if it's there. Still giving me an error. Validation both. Validate decimal input. Looks good to me. It's obvious something in here is not working. So I'm going to pause for a minute and see if I can figure out what it is. I must be pretty close. Nope, I'm fine here for time. So I'll pause and come back, hopefully, when I find the answer as to what's wrong here. Okay, I was looking at it and I think I figured out what the problem is. We'll see in a minute. I think I got to go back to validation both and I've got to rebuild it. So I've got to rebuild the solution because it's not technically seeing that right now. So this should be using validation both. I don't know how lib got in there, but okay, no it shouldn't. I guess that is what we call that namespace here. Validation lib, so that is correct. Success is assigned but never used. Error message is assigned but never used. Let's just take a quick look at that one. Okay, I don't think that's going to be an issue right now. So let's go back to our form here. Let's do a file, save all. And let's try to run it again. Now this is hourly. So if we put nothing here, hours worked cannot be empty. Okay. Hours worked must be a decimal value. Hours worked must be between 0 and 84. That's all working. All right. And now let's try them with the rate. So let's put a 50 in here. Hourly rate cannot be empty. Hourly rate must be a decimal value. Hourly rate must be between 0 and 99. So let's put a 20 in here, see if we get 1100. Didn't get anything in here. That might be, let's see. Okay, so we did everything here. I may have removed or commented out the line. So let's put txt gross pay dot text equals gross, gross dot toString, and we'll make that currency. Let's see if that fixes it. Now this is back in here, so I'm going to have to, I think, rebuild the solution again. Why it's giving me that error, I'm not sure. But let's try to run it. Now everything did work when we did this, except if we put a 50 here, and we put a 20 here, 1100. All right, if we put a 40 here, it should be 800. Okay, everything's working. That's good. So we got one down. All right. And I'm at 22 minutes. I'm going to quickly, and I mean quickly, I'm going to quickly try to do the next one. All right, which is Pieceworker. And I think what we're going to find is it's going to be very, very, very similar to what we just did. So I'm going to do a copy and paste. Even though this is not a great idea, I'm going to do that anyway. And what I mean is, I'm going to come back to here to my hours. And I'm going to grab and calculate everything we just did. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to Piecework. And just like we did before, we're going to start by and I think we got to fix this exit too, so that's fine. We'll work on that in a minute. So now we've got validate all values. Again, we're going to do just like we did before. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to grab all of this. Everything that I've got in here. And I'm going to comment that out as well. Now, I could get some errors here, and if I do, don't worry about it at all. Okay, let's come down to here. And let's paste. Now, again, we're going to get some errors. Don't worry about it. We're going to try to clean this up real quick. So this will be OK pieces. And this will be OK price. See. So OK pieces and OK price. Now let's just go down to the very bottom. So gross is just going to be equal to pieces times price. But don't worry about that. Let's fix that right away. So this will be pieces, and this will be price. Now that line should now be able to be put in as pieces times price. Okay, so that part's fixed. Let's go fix the rest quickly. You've got OK pieces and OK price. We want to validate that so this is going to be pieces made. Is not empty. Now this is pieces made, so it's going to be a valid. This will be an integer value. And it's within range, so it's got to be between, I think we said 1 and 100. So this is OK pieces. Okay, so that's done. Then we want to validate. So this is going to be integer input we have to call here, not decimal. Okay, this is min pieces made, and that'll be an int for pieces. All right, so now we'll call this and this will be price per piece. Now that I think about it, this is the one that's 1. But it is possible you made no pieces, so that is a 0. All right, so let's fix this. Now, I think we're okay now for our price per piece. We already checked the first one, and that one worked just fine. So we're going to go over to Pieceworker, leaving it blank. Pieces made cannot be empty. Pieces made must be, and that should be an integer value, so we'll fix that. And must be between 0 and 100. Good. So let's say you made 50 pieces. All right, now we're going to have the same kind of thing with price per piece. Price per piece can't be empty. Price per piece must be a valid decimal value. And price per piece must be between a penny and $1. So let's say you made 75 cents. Should be $22.50 if I did my math. $37.50, sorry. Let's make sure. Let's do something simple. A dime. $5. That works. So these both work. The only thing I have to come in here and change is for the message that we have here. Validate integer input. And that might be inner validation, both. Validate decimal input. This is validate integer input. So that should be an integer value. Again, we have to rebuild this. Let's try to run. Oh, hello. I don't know why it's giving us that. I have absolutely no idea. But when we double click on it, it's going away. It's really strange. But let's just make sure if we put in something non-numeric for pieces made, must be an integer value. Now that's working. All right, so when I come back in just a couple minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up with the commission and the salary. See you in a bit.